Picture this: a teenage shepherd boy with nothing but a sling and 5 smooth stones stands face to face with a 9-foot-tall armored giant who has terrorized an entire army for 40 days. The giant's spear tip alone weighs 15 pounds. His armor? 125 pounds of bronze. The boy? He's not even wearing armor. This isn't a fairy tale. This isn't mythology. This is one of the most incredible true stories ever recorded, and it happened over 3,000 years ago. What you're about to discover will challenge everything you think you know about facing impossible odds. The year is approximately 1025 BC. The Israelites are locked in a bitter conflict with their enemies, the Philistines, in the Valley of Elah. But this isn't your typical ancient warfare. For 40 days straight, both armies have been camped on opposite hills, afraid to make the first move. Why? Because of one man. Every morning and evening, a champion emerges from the Philistine camp. His name is Goliath of Gath. Standing over 9 feet tall, this warrior is a walking fortress. His bronze coat of mail weighs 125 pounds. His bronze helmet gleams in the sun. The iron tip of his spear weighs 15 pounds. That's heavier than most bowling balls. Behind him walks his armor-bearer, carrying a shield so large it could cover a doorway. Goliath's challenge is simple but terrifying. Send out your best warrior to fight me one-on-one. Winner takes all. If your man defeats me, we'll be your servants. If I win, you serve us. For 40 days, this giant has hurled insults and challenges across the valley. And for 40 days, not a single Israelite soldier, including King Saul, who stands head and shoulders above his own men, has dared to step forward. The entire army is paralyzed by fear. Into this scene of terror and paralysis walks an unlikely figure. David, the youngest son of Jesse from Bethlehem. He's probably between 15 and 17 years old. While his 3 older brothers serve in Saul's army, David tends his father's sheep in the hills around Bethlehem. His father Jesse sends him to the battlefield with supplies, roasted grain, bread, and cheese for his brothers and their commander. It's meant to be a simple supply run. Check on your brothers, deliver the food, bring back news. But when David arrives at the Valley of Elah, he witnesses something that changes everything. He hears Goliath's morning taunt, sees the giant striding between the armies, and watches in amazement as every single Israelite soldier, battle-hardened veterans, retreats in terror. David's reaction is immediate and passionate. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? Notice what David sees that the soldiers miss. They see an unbeatable giant. David sees someone who dares to challenge God himself. They focus on Goliath's size and strength. David focuses on Goliath's rebellion against the Almighty. When David's oldest brother, Eliab, hears him talking, he explodes with anger. Why did you come down here? Who's watching those few sheep? I know your pride and insolence. You just came to watch the battle. But David won't be silenced. Word of the young shepherd's bold words reaches King Saul, who summons David to his tent. Standing before the king, David makes an incredible declaration. Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him. Saul's response is immediate. You can't fight this Philistine. You're only a boy, and he's been a warrior from his youth. But David has an answer that reveals the source of his confidence. He tells Saul about his life as a shepherd. When a lion or bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. Then comes the key statement. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. Saul, perhaps seeing no other option after 40 days of stalemate, gives his consent. But first he tries to dress David in his own armor, bronze helmet, coat of mail, and sword. David tries to walk but can't move effectively. I cannot go in these, he says, because I am not used to them. He takes off the armor. Instead, David chooses his familiar tools, his staff, his sling, and 5 smooth stones from the stream. As David walks into the valley, Goliath sees him approaching and is insulted. Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks? The giant curses David by his gods and roars, "Come here, and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." But David's response is one of the most powerful declarations of faith ever recorded. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves. For the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands." As Goliath moves closer to attack, David runs quickly toward the battle line to meet him. He reaches into his bag, takes out a stone, places it in his sling, and hurls it with deadly accuracy. The stone sinks deep into Goliath's forehead, and the giant falls face down on the ground. David runs to where Goliath lies, stands over him, draws the giant's own sword, and cuts off his head. When the Philistines see their champion is dead, they turn and run. The Israelites surge forward with a great shout, pursuing their enemies all the way to the gates of Ekron and Gath. The valley that had been filled with fear for 40 days suddenly echoes with victory cries. David takes Goliath's head to Jerusalem and keeps the giant's weapons as trophies. King Saul, who had been too afraid to face Goliath himself, now wants to know everything about this remarkable young man. But this victory is just the beginning for David. This moment in the Valley of Elah becomes the foundation for his rise to become Israel's greatest king. The shepherd boy who trusted God with a giant would later unite a nation, establish Jerusalem as the capital, and become known as a man after God's own heart. The story of David and Goliath isn't just ancient history, it's a blueprint for facing the giants in your own life. Here are the powerful lessons we can learn. First, your giants aren't as big as they seem when measured against God's power. David didn't minimize Goliath's threat, but he put it in proper perspective. When you face overwhelming challenges, whether it's debt, disease, depression, or broken relationships, remember that your God is bigger than your giants. Second, your past victories prepare you for present battles. David's confidence came from his history with God. Every lion and bear he'd faced as a shepherd built his faith for this moment. Your past struggles weren't wasted. They were training for what you're facing now. Third, don't try to fight your battles with someone else's armor. Saul's armor didn't fit David, and trying to copy someone else's approach to faith or life won't work for you either. God has equipped you uniquely for your specific challenges. Fourth, sometimes you have to run toward what everyone else is running from. While the army retreated, David advanced. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite the fear because you know God is with you. Fifth, your victory isn't just about you. David declared that his triumph would show the whole world that there is a God in Israel. When you overcome your giants through faith, you're demonstrating God's power to everyone watching your life. The question isn't whether you have giants in your life. We all do. The question is, will you face them with David's perspective, seeing them as opportunities for God to show his power? Or will you stay paralyzed in the camp with the army, letting fear make your decisions? Your valley of Elah is waiting. What giant will you face today? Subscribe to this channel to keep enjoying and learning from these beautiful Bible stories.